It's live! Welcome to episode 1 of The Kitchen Chemist. I'm your boy, Nathaniel Levinson, amateur pro home chef, and today we're gonna be taking you through a couple very simple recipes that have a lot of potential. We're gonna be making some lime bars, nice simple dessert. I love this dessert because A, it's very few ingredients, B, it's super easy to make, C, it's super delicious, and D, it has a lot of potential for variation. Very easy variation without having to screw up the recipe. Making lime bars, first thing you're gonna wanna do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees. What you're gonna need is butter, flour, sugar, eggs, and limes, and that is it. I'm going to substitute brown sugar for white sugar in the pastry base. So brown sugar is sugar before it's been refined, so it still has some molasses. It's got a little bit more character, it's got a little bit more flavor. White sugar will just sweeten the dish, won't affect the flavor at all. So that is a consideration. If you don't want to change the flavor, use white sugar. If you want to add a little more oomph, use brown sugar. You can generally substitute 1-to-1 white and brown sugar, and it shouldn't change the recipe too much. So the first thing we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna make the pastry base. So I've got 2 cups of flour. This is just unbleached all-purpose flour. 2 sticks, that's 1 cup of cold butter. A lot of pastry recipes call for unsalted butter. I've never had a pastry or a baked good come out too salty because I substituted salted butter, okay? All baked goods need salt because salt opens ion channels in your tongue, which basically lets you taste more, okay? That's what salt does. So I'm using salted butter, you can use unsalted, just add a pinch of salt to the mixture at the end, okay? Brown sugar you wanna pack, not tightly, but you wanna pack down. So just add 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And then you can use a pastry cutter. I'm gonna use my hands. You just wanna combine this, okay, so that the flour coats all the butter pieces. And you just wanna do this until the mixture, they always say, until the mixture resembles coarse crumbs, which is kind of a vague statement, right? But I like to do it until the mixture can be formed into something that resembles dough. We're gonna put that into our pan. I'm just using a regulation size cake pan. You could butter and grease this, or you could just use parchment paper. I'm gonna use parchment paper because it makes cleanup so much easier. So I recommend, anytime a recipe says grease and butter, just use parchment paper. This is just the best thing for your kitchen ever. This is absolutely a kitchen essential. It's good for everything. It's paper that's been embedded with silicone. So unlike wax paper, which will make everything taste like crayons, you can put it in your oven. It's never gonna burn. It can get brown and crumbly, but it's still fine, and it's non-toxic, it's stick resistant, so nothing sticks to it, and it doesn't change the flavor of your food, so it's essentially perfect for baking. I'm gonna pour my crumb mixture in there and just kind of spread it out. I think it being a little uneven actually makes it more interesting. You could do a better job of making it even. You don't have to. The important thing is that the whole pan area is covered. Beautiful, a beautiful crust. So now that we've prepared our crust, it's time to prepare the actual lime mixture that's gonna go on top. So you want 4 eggs. It doesn't matter what kind of egg you use. What is important is that you never, ever, ever crack an egg on a sharp edge. Never crack an egg on a sharp edge. Why? Because it'll drive shell up into the egg, you'll get egg fragments. So you always wanna crack an egg on a flat surface. We're gonna add 1.5 cups of sugar. I'm gonna stick with white sugar just because brown sugar can change the flavor and I wanna keep it vanilla, but you could substitute brown sugar and it would still be tasty. You're gonna add 1.5 cups. So it's 1 cup and 1/2 cup. So we got 1.5 cups of sugar, 1/4 cup of flour. This is just gonna act as a sort of binder. So flour is a very good binding agent. And then we're gonna whisk that together before we add the lime juice. So now that we've got our egg yolk sugar mixture, we wanna juice our limes. This is a regulation lime. Don't get key limes. Key limes are the size of a ping pong ball. When you're buying limes, you wanna make sure they're not rocks, because if they're rocks, they're gonna be really hard to juice. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is take your lime and roll it pretty roughly on a hard surface. The reason being is you want to bruise all the fruit that's inside, and it'll be easier to give up its juice. You'll notice it's a lot softer now, and you just want to cut it in half. Boom, beautiful lime. Easy to juice, you can do it by hand. I'm gonna use my juicer. I like my lime bars really limey, okay? So the recipe calls for about a cup of lime juice. I'm gonna go 1.5 cups to 2 cups, and I might even add more. It's okay because you can add a lot of liquid before the setting power of the eggs really gets affected. So let's juice some limes. For juicing a lime, a couple ways you can do it. You can juice it by hand. You can use one of these or one of those medieval torture thingies. You don't need one of these. It does make it easier, but it's by no means necessary. I just happen to have one of these. All right, so I've got about 1 3/4 cups of lime juice. So I'm going to start by adding a cup, okay? I can always add more. So I'm gonna start by adding a cup of lime juice. Whisk that together. Always taste as you go. That's excellent. That I'm gonna add about another 1/2 cup, and then that'll be it. Just whisk it up to combine. All right, so we're gonna take our pastry base and we're gonna pop it in the oven to pre-cook. 20 minutes. You'll also wanna zest some limes. Now I'm using the whole limes. You wanna zest them before you juice them, because after they're juiced, it is really hard to zest. I have my ghetto grater. It's missing its top. It's no longer a perfect rectangle. So I use the fine holes. And this, I think, works really good for zest. Now, when you're zesting, what you wanna do is you wanna zest until you see the white. That's the pith. You don't want that. That is bitter, that is not tasty, okay? So you wanna kind of rotate the lime around to get off as much of that zest as you possibly can without getting that white pith, which is bitter and nasty and nobody loves it. So that's our lime zest. You can see that it's green. There's very little white in there. It's very fine. Oh, it smells amazing. It's just pure citrus flavor. Just throw that right into our mixture. And whisk it up. Pastry crust is done. You can see it's nice and brown, so it's cooked. Hooray! So now it is really as simple as pouring on the base. So we're just going to take our egg mixture and just carefully pour it over top. We will pop this bad boy back into the oven for about another 20 minutes or until the custard, the filling, is set. One of the reasons I love this lime bar recipe so much is that you can use any citrus fruit and it'll still be delicious. You might even be able to use something like a mango juice, or I don't know if I would do pineapple, because pineapple can do funky things to proteins in the eggs, so that might not set properly. So maybe avoid pineapple juice. But I'm making lime bars. If you use lemon juice instead, you'd make lemon bars. To make orange lime bars, make lemon grapefruit bars. The possibilities are endless. And of course, you can adjust how much juice you use to make it sweeter, to make it tartar. It's a very versatile recipe. So our lime bars are done. As you can see, they're a little jiggly, just a little jiggly. That's fine. It's kind of a custardy thing. You'll notice that the froth has egg froth has kind of set on the top, giving it kind of this white luster. Looks great, smells great, and it's gonna taste great. So we're gonna let those cool before we slice them up. Some lovely, luscious lime bars. We've dusted them with powdered sugar. That's totally optional. So until next time, I'm your boy, amateur pro home chef Nathanael Levinson. This is Kitchen Chemist.